Hello and welcome to Read with Ronald. Today I will be reading Terry McMillan's Disappearance Acts and talking about the movie. First published in 1989, Terry McMillan's Disappearance Acts follows the dysfunctional romantic relationship between Franklin and Zora. Disappearance Acts is McMillan's second novel. She wrote the first draft of the story in 2 weeks. Her goal was to get to the heart of Franklin's anger with his state in life and look at how he deals with it, as well as how Zora suffers from being a nurturer to him while neglecting herself. Disappearance Acts sold 2 million copies. How I got Disappearance Acts is very simple. It was Tati's turn to choose the book for the book club. We do book swaps together, and then we're in a separate book club. She had already read Stella. She liked the story, but she didn't like the writing. And then, of course, we read Waiting to Exhale together, and she loved it. In Tati's own words, I was in a rut and wanted to pick something from my books I need to read. Honestly, I should have put more thought into it and picked a scary book. I would have been more into it, but you live and learn. I also wanted to give Terry a tiebreaker. It was supposed to settle my opinion on her writing. And that's how we got Disappearance X. So some warnings. First of all, a spoiler warning to let you know that I will be going through the plot of this book and to let you know that if you don't want to be spoiled, thanks for watching up to this point, but feel free to turn off the video here, and if you decide that you want to see what I talked about after you read the book or watch the movie, feel free to come back. The second is a trigger warning. This book has struggle love. This book has domestic violence. This book has assault against a woman. The third warning is a Pepper warning. If you don't know who Pepper is my dog. She might come through here. She might shake the camera. She might jump up here behind me and sit down. She might come in here and lick me. Anything that a dog does is her. So today is October 25th. I am starting to read Disappearance Acts by Terry McMillan. We are reading this for book club. This was Tati's pick for book club. We're gonna see, because Tati said that this is gonna be her make or break with Terry, because you know Stella was a flop with her, but Waiting to Exhale was a hit with her. So this is her make or break, and I'm just excited to see how this is gonna go. Disappearance Acts, it focuses on these two people, Franklin and Zora, from 1982 to 1985. Franklin in 1982 is 32. He is a part-time construction worker. He's a high school dropout. He got discharged from the Navy because he has a problem with authority. He's married, but he's separated from his wife, Pam, and he has 2 sons, Derek and Miles. He's not really active in his son's life, and the reason he's not active in their lives, he says, is because he don't have no money to give them. So he don't want to be around until he can financially support them. He says that he is not dealing with women. He wants to get his life together. The woman who broke his heart and got him to this place was this girl named Pauline that he was dealing with. He was chasing behind Pauline, and then Pauline just up and dipped on him for what reason he don't know. After reading this book, I know why she dipped on him, but we gonna get to that. And the funny part is, he claims Pauline is the one that got away, but the only thing he really remembers about her is her body and how good it was. So he's like, I'm not gonna deal with women no more. I'm gonna get my constitution together. That's what he calls it, his constitution. He lives in a boarding house. He likes making stuff out of wood, but he's a part-time construction worker and he's not unionized. He's trying to get unionized. And he don't really got no friends. He only got 2 friends. One named Jimmy, who is a drug dealer, and Lucky, who is a gambler that lives a few rooms down from him. He don't like his family. He don't get along with them. He has 2 sisters, Darlene and Christine. He doesn't like Christine. He thinks she's bougie. He doesn't like his mom. He doesn't like his dad. His dad is an alcoholic. Franklin is also alcoholic, but he claims he's not. The only person he really only cares about in his family is Darlene, because Darlene is kind of like him. He has no purpose. He has no direction in life. Franklin thinks he's better than everybody, and he's one of them people that blame everybody else for why he is where he is instead of just looking at himself and blaming himself. That's Franklin. So then we get into Zora. Zora is 29. She was raised by her dad and her stepmom, Marguerite. Her mom died when she was young. She's named after Zora Neale Hurston. She loves to sing. She grew up in church singing, dreams of being a singer. She works as a music teacher at a middle school. She suffers from seizures, but she doesn't take her medication. She didn't like the way her medication made her feel, so she doesn't take them. She tends to jump into a relationship before really getting to know the guy, because her weakness is tall, dark-skinned black men, which, by the way, that's what Franklin is. And she doesn't really break it off when she realizes the guys really don't have nothing to offer to her, because she likes to give people a chance to prove themselves. And she decides that her next relationship that she has, she's going to take it slow and she's going to do things the right way, because she dreams of being married. She dreams of having kids the right way. She's been pregnant before, but she decided not to go through with those pregnancies. She has her homegirl. She has Claudette, who's married to a doctor with kids. She has Portia, who everybody calls out for being materialistic, only valuing guys for what they can offer her. And then she has Marie, who is an alcoholic comedian. Today is November 6th.
I'm reading Disappearing Acts in preparation for our book club meeting that we have to read up to like chapter 11 for. I feel like Franklin and Zora are going to work my nerves this whole book. Franklin is a guy that has nothing going for himself, and he's sick of not having nothing going for himself, but he thinks he's all that even though he don't have nothing going for himself. And Zora is very easily trusting, especially when it comes to men. You know, she has all these things that she wants in a man, but honestly, her track record is not looking too good. It's not matching up with the standards that she has. So I feel like these two are going to get on my nerves this whole book.
So the book begins with Zora looking for a new apartment because her current apartment is roach infested, and she's like, this not going to work. And she says the rent is too high for what she's getting. So she goes to see this place that Franklin is working on. It's still being renovated as she's seeing it. Franklin tells her, girl, this place is roach infested and rat infested. Don't move here. And so Zora's like, that's not what they told me. They told me this place was new. Franklin was just joking with her. And so she sees the place. She likes it. She decides she's going to move there. But she tells him she wants hardwood floors instead of carpet. So Franklin is the one who installs her hardwood floors. When she goes to move in, Franklin is there. He literally just got done putting her floors in. She had a friend help her move out of her old place, but she didn't bring him to move in because she don't want nobody really knowing where she stay like that. So Franklin's there. She's like, Franklin, can you help me? Franklin like, I'll help you for a fee. And so she like, you know what? Okay, fine, whatever. Just help me move in. So they get to moving in, but he decides not to take no money from her after all. You know, they talk, they get to joking around, and he gets to flirting with her. And she likes the attention because Franklin's her type. And so after they do this, Zora, you know, she goes explore the neighborhood. And then that night, she gets to fantasizing about Franklin and she falls asleep on the floor. And then the next morning, he shows up with some coffee. He couldn't stop thinking about Zora either. He's just joking around with her and testing her to see how far he can push her and see if it's like something he would want to pursue. You know, he's already acting jealous over her and stuff like that. His wife, Pam, has been giving him a hard time about not paying for stuff for the boys and not really being around. And once again, it's because he don't have no money. And he's like, I don't want to be around unless I got some money to give him. Get out! So he goes, he spends a little bit of time with Zora and then he goes home. He can't focus on his woodworking because all he can think about is Zora and his money is tight. So because he can't focus, he goes down to the bar and he runs into Jimmy. Jimmy is always begging Franklin for money. So Franklin gives him some money. And Jimmy, he looks older than he actually is. He got about 5 or 6 kids. Then Franklin, after he gets done with this little bar visit, he takes Pam $60. She's been asking for $100. He takes her $60. And she and him get in an argument. And, you know, he's disgusted with the place that his kids is living in. And he can't believe that she's got them living over there like that. But it's like, it's the best that she can do. He gets talking crap about Pam, about how she just let herself go and how she's not the woman that she used to be when they first got together. And so then Franklin is supposed to go meet up with Zora to help her, you know, put some of her furniture together. But he stands her up. And so as he's walking back home, he runs into Zora. And Zora's like, what happened? You were supposed to come help me do my stuff and you ain't show up. I could have got somebody else to help. What you doing? He finally does keep his word. And he goes over there and he helps her set it up. And he don't want to leave. And Zora's like, I don't know what you thought this was, but you finna get up out of here. So she escorts him out, and then her homegirl Portia comes over. Portia made some decisions that I don't agree with in the book. Portia and Marguerite are by far the two characters with the most common sense in this book. Keep in mind, all the girls judge Portia for being materialistic, but Portia comes over and tells Zora, Zora, don't get involved with this man until you know some stuff about him, until you know what he do, about his relationship status, you know how much he make, like what can he do for you, saying common sense stuff. But Zora's like, oh no, I want to give him a chance. I like to give people a chance before I start judging them and stuff like that, like being dumb, being an idiot. And you know, Portia start asking the right questions. He seemed too good to be true. What is he hiding? Zora like, that ain't none of my business.
I hope you get it together.
I hope you do so.
Oh, girl.
Zora, of course, you know, she wants to be a singer, and she's recently got hooked up with a vocal coach with her friend Eli. Eli is the one that helped her move in, and Franklin was acting jealous over Eli, but Eli prefers the company of men. He sets Zora up with a vocal coach, Reginald. Portia's over there visiting. She goes to the bathroom. She comes out the bathroom with Zora's epilepsy medication, and she's like, Zora, what is this? That's my epilepsy medication. Portia's like, how long have you had epilepsy? Why you ain't tell nobody? Something could have happened to you and we wouldn't have known what to do because you ain't tell nobody, because Zora's embarrassed that she has epilepsy. And it's not genetic. It happened from an accident she had when she was a child. She hit her head on a slide. And so Portia's like, I'm your best friend. How could you not tell me this? Keep in mind, they've been best friends for about 2 years. It's not a very long friendship. So then after Portia leaves, Zora decides she wants to go see a movie with her friend Marie. But Marie is drunk and she's not in no condition to go nowhere. And so Zora decides to go see this movie alone, and the movie is very encouraging to her. When she gets back home, Franklin is waiting for her on her stoop. And so she invites him in, and they get to talking, and then they sleep together. They talk about what's their relationship status, because they both want to push things further along, but they're scared to go forward because they both been hurt before, and they both admit this to each other. Today is November 6th. Franklin and Zora, they're not getting on my nerves as badly as I thought they were. They are kind of getting on my nerves. And Portia, you know, she's not perfect. She reminds me a lot of Karen from Cheaters by Eric Trump Dickey. She was telling Zora nothing but the truth. You falling head over heels for this man. You don't know nothing about him. He might not have no money. He might be broke and all that type of stuff. Don't just fall in love with him and you don't know nothing about him. But Zora ain't listening. Zora don't care. Zora gonna be stupid. I can already tell. And she gonna get on my nerves and piss me off. And so is Franklin. I can already tell both of them gonna do something that's gonna piss me off. And so I just can't wait to see what it is. So Franklin is on cloud 9, and he ain't been home in 3 days. He been at Zora's place. He's been working construction for Vinny under the table, but Franklin gets laid off by Vinny because Vinny decides to hire his brother-in-law instead. So of course Franklin gets pissed off by this. He decides to go wash his clothes, do his laundry, and he comes across this flyer for an entrepreneurship class. And he, you know, he takes note of it. And so then he gets his place cleaned up, and then the next day he goes down to this organization called A Dream Deferred. A Dream Deferred is this organization that gets minority workers on a construction job. So they go down to a site and they picket the site until they can get some men on the job. And Franklin's one of the guys that gets the job. So Franklin is like, yes, I got me a job. Maybe this will lead to me being union. So Zora goes to the beach with her homegirls. They're all questioning her about Franklin, about him, what he's like, stuff like that. You know, asking all the right questions. What does he got? What does he got to offer? What does he do? Stuff like this. And Zora, she's embarrassed because Franklin is not the catch that he thinks he is. And Zora knows that he's not the catch, but she still likes him. And she still wants to give him a chance to prove himself. She thinks he just needs some encouragement and he'll get to where he needs to be. She doesn't tell them everything about Franklin. She tells them that he's getting back on his feet, but that he, you know, he's doing something with his life. So Portia's like, girl, no, don't fool with him. But Claudette's like, no, girl, give him a chance. And so Claudette and Portia, they're like frenemies. Claudette is pregnant. She's married to a doctor, and she claims that all Portia cares about is money. Portia calls her out. You encouraging her to be in this struggle, love. No, don't do that. And Claudette's like, why? Why not? I did that with my husband. And Portia calls her out. She's like, you did that with your husband because he was in medical school. You knew where he was going. You knew what he was doing. And you knew he was going to make bank one day. That's why you stayed with him. Like, come on, be serious. You trying to act like it was for love. Like, no, it was for security as much as it was for love. Like, be serious. And Claudette's like, no, girl, all you care about is money. So then when Zora gets home from the beach, Franklin is waiting on her at the door. And, you know, he sees what she wore to the beach. He's like, I don't like you wearing that. Get out! And Zora's like, I'm going to wear what I want to wear. Like, what the world? You ain't my man. What you talking about? They hang out. They play some Scrabble. And Zora loses because Franklin, he likes to read and likes to read a dictionary. So he knows a lot of big words. And super duper smart because he knows all these big words.
Just because you read Google facts all day, you think you know?
Their relationship progresses, and 3 weeks later, he's living with her. And this is when he tells her the truth about his life, that he's married to Pam, but they're separated. He got 2 kids and he's a high school dropout. And Zora's like, I'm gonna stick it out and we gonna grow together, because she's like, you know what, I've fallen in love with you and I'm trusting you to get this divorce from Pam that you say you're gonna get. But she does not tell him that she suffers from epilepsy. She's also hiding that she used to be overweight. It wasn't that big of a deal to me. It's a big deal to Franklin. That's part of the reason why he left Pam, because she let herself go. Get out! That's what he meant by she wasn't the woman she used to be. He meant that she didn't have her figure. Zora's weight is a point of contention in this book, and it was kind of annoying because it's like, why is this such a big deal? Because Zora's like, oh, we gonna grow together. Zora has a job as a teacher, gets a consistent paycheck, and also has a dad who wants to make sure that she's good, so he looks out for her and sends her money from time to time, right? So Zora, because she is good financially, she's trying to pour into Franklin's construction dreams, so paying for stuff for him. But he don't like that because he wants to be the one paying for stuff. He wants to be the breadwinner. So because he's got this new construction job, he's making him some good money, and he makes dinner for him and Zora to celebrate. And he buys Zora this piano for $300 that she's been saving up wanting to get. And he's like, you know what, baby, no, I'm making the money.
I'm gonna buy it for you. And so she's like, oh my gosh, Franklin, thank you.
I hope you get it together.
I hope you do so.
Oh, girl.
And he has her sing a song for him on it. And he's like, wow, she's really good. And he wants her to succeed at becoming a singer, but he don't want her to make it until he also makes it. Because he don't want people to be looking at him like she's the one supporting him. He wants it to be like, oh, I'm supporting her even though she's a successful singer. Since she gets his piano, she be practicing like crazy on it. She's always practicing. So he goes back to his own place. And while he's at his place, his parents come visit. He doesn't like either of them, but he especially dislikes his mom. His mom is like, you living in this place, you could do so much better if you just put forth some effort. His dad interjects every now and then to tell her to lay off, but she don't listen to him. He doesn't like his mom. He doesn't respect his dad. And so then after this conversation, he goes to work and he gets laid off. And he's mad about it because Zora's birthday is coming up. And he's not going to be able to afford nothing for her. And he started feeling insecure and jealous because her future is bright and his is not that bright. And so then he goes and visits his sister Darlene. Darlene has also been fired from her job recently. So they go visit, they get to talking. He wants to bring Zora around and introduce her to the family to prove to his mom that he can bag a good woman. And Darlene is like, I don't know how you bagged her because she's out of your league. And so Zora's friend Judy is supposed to come stay with them for a few days, and she also gets this opportunity to like go see this band that's interested in her singing. And so she gets the opportunity to go see how they play and to like audition for them, and if they like her, they're gonna take her with them on tour. And so Franklin, he's feeling jealous because he's like, why her future so bright and mine not? It's early in the morning on November 7th. They are pissing me off, but for two separate reasons. Zora is pissing me off because she is so darn gullible. Zora is one of those girls who's like, I can fix him, I can change him, I just love him so much, and I can look past all of this stuff, all of the red flags that he's showing me. And Franklin is insecure. He's jealous of Zora because she has more going for herself than he has going for himself, which makes sense because Zora is a college educated woman with a job as a teacher and with dreams of being a singer, and she's actually putting in work to get to that dream and get those goals. And Franklin is a high school dropout with 2 kids, not divorced from his wife that he separated from, and he has a talent for woodworking, and he wants to possibly pursue it as a business, but he's not really taking the steps to get there. And he's working these construction jobs that he unfortunately keeps getting laid off from. It's like the circumstances are partially his fault, but there are some things that are out of his control. Because he's the man and Zora's the woman, but his life isn't going better than hers. He's jealous and insecure about it. He's getting on my nerves in regards to his family because he acts like his family is such an issue and they just don't have nothing going for themselves and they're just so annoying. But it's like, Franklin, you're the issue. He's the issue in the relationship. He's the issue in the relationship with his parents because he thinks he's better than everybody. He thinks he's just the man. Let's be real honest here. You currently have nothing going for yourself. You don't try. Most of the reason why he's in his situation is his fault. And he blames everybody else for why he's in the situation. No, it's you, Franklin. You have a problem following directions. You're hard-headed. They are not equally yoked. And I can already tell this is going to be a hot mess because now we got Zora's friend coming to stay and visit for a few days. And I hate to say it, but I can kind of see where this is going. I feel like Franklin, in his insecure state, is going to cheat on Zora with her friend. It's going to be a huge betrayal, but Zora's going to be able to look past it and get back with Franklin for some reason. I feel like that's how this is going to go. And this book came out in 1989. It's definitely showing its age. Like, there's this big thing about Zora. She's worried about Franklin finding out that she was a bigger girl, even though she's not exactly stick thin. Like, she's still kind of a little bit chunky. It's this big thing about, oh, Franklin might find out that I was a bigger girl. And Franklin's like, oh, as long as you don't get too big. I'm like, what's the big deal about her being a bigger girl? He says he likes women with meat on their bones. I'm not understanding why this is such a big deal that it would be like a huge relationship ending thing. There's some other things in here that's showing their age too, but for the most part of me hopes I'm wrong. But given the characterizations and given how the storyline is going, I feel like I'm right. And I feel like this is going to go exactly how I expect it to go.
Zora's birthday comes around. It's her 30th. And Franklin, of course, he can't afford to do nothing. So Zora's shelling out all the cash. And she just takes Franklin out because she wants to have a good time. Franklin ends up getting drunk because he's pissed that he can't do nothing for Zora's birthday. And he ends up ruining her birthday with his drunken antics.
I'm really not surprised.
And she's so pissed off about it. She's like, I can't believe you did this to me. And she just doesn't understand why he's so mad and why he would do this to her. And so then that Monday, she runs into Jimmy because he came to see Franklin about getting some more money. Zora gives him the money instead. And Jimmy's like, oh, hey, you know, Franklin got laid off from his job. He's assuming that Zora already knew this. And so because Zora now knows that Franklin got laid off of work, she's upset that he wouldn't tell her and wouldn't trust her with the information. And so she goes to work and she can't focus. You know, she's all prepared to confront Franklin, but he comes home and he's like, I got a new job. Trying to act like he didn't get laid off. He's like, I got a job that pays more. And so Zora, she's excited for him, so she decides to let it go. Her friend Judy can't come visit and Zora gets sick. And so Franklin ends up taking care of her. And because she gets sick, she misses her big break. You know, she's upset about that. But Franklin, he's not all that upset about it. And so then the next week, she goes starts her vocal lessons with her coach, Reginald. And, you know, Reginald, he's telling her, like, what he expects from her. And, you know, they do, like, a little assessment. And Zora doesn't do as well at the assessment as she would like, so she gets frustrated. But Reginald's like, it's not that big of a deal. You know, it's just an assessment to see where you are. And, you know, you're actually really good. So then Franklin decides to go get his sons and spend the day with them. He brings them over to meet Zora. They're hanging out in the apartment. They break something of Zora's. Zora comes home, and they're like, oh my gosh, we broke your lamp. We're so sorry. And she's like, oh, it's okay. Hi, nice to meet you. Miles, he instantly takes to her because he's younger. Derek, he likes her, but he's kind of wary because he's concerned that Zora is going to take Franklin away from them. And he thinks it's weird because he's used to seeing Franklin with their mom. And he also says that he plans not to have no more kids. Because that's another concern of Derek's. Derek is concerned that Franklin is going to leave them to go be with Zora, going to have more kids, and just going to completely forget about them. And Franklin's like, that's not going to happen because I don't plan on having no more kids. Franklin's like, Zora's not going to come between us. I'm always going to be there for y'all. And no matter what happens, I love y'all. And so his new job that he landed, it ended up not coming through. So he's back to square one with no job. And Zora, she wants to meet Pam. And Franklin's like, what you want to meet her for? And she's like, because that's the mother of your kids. And I want to make sure I have a decent relationship with the mother of your kids if I'm going to be involved in their lives. And Franklin, he thinks that Zora's starting to get tired of him because he's consistently broke. He asks her if she wants him to move out of the place because he can't provide for her, can't really help with the bills and stuff like that. And she's like, no, you can stay.
Why do you hate me? What have I done to you that you should ever hate me so?
But the thing is, Zora done maxed out 2 credit cards and done run through most of her savings, having to pay their bills. And Franklin knows this, and that's why he feels like she's getting tired of him. She calls her dad for a loan, and that's when Franklin meets her dad over the phone, and they like each other instantly. Her dad loans them some money so that they can make their bills. And Franklin promises to pay him back. And so then after they get off the phone, she encourages Franklin to maybe try looking for jobs outside of construction, check out that entrepreneurship class, and to advertise his services as a woodworker. So he does that, but nobody calls him, and so he's pissed off about that. It's just later on today, and this book has to be satire. Why is Zora entertaining the struggle love? Franklin is jealous because he can't do for Zora. Franklin always talking about I got a plan, but he's not putting no steps towards this plan. Zora at least is like doing stuff to like get to where she want to be, but Franklin not doing nothing. He done seen this flyer for entrepreneur class, but he don't want to take it. And it's not like it costs money. He can afford the class, but yet he want to have an attitude with Zora because he can't provide for her, he can't do this for her, he can't do that for her. And Zora even says herself, why does he keep working construction jobs if he keeps getting laid off? Like, there are other jobs you can get that don't require a degree. Franklin is so irritating and annoying. He's hard-headed. He thinks he know everything, but he don't know nothing. He looks down on Zora for not being as smart as he is. But last time I checked, Zora was the one basically funding y'all lifestyle. She done ran through her savings and maxed out 2 credit cards. You know what? I think Zora being named after Zora Neale Hurston is hilariously ironic because Zora is giving Janie. She's giving Robin from Waiting to Exhale. Janie crawled so Zora could walk, and Zora walked so Robin could run. Because Zora and Robin are making the same stupid decisions. Why are y'all supporting men that can't do nothing for y'all? Talking about because I love him and stuff like this. And then the funny thing is everybody trying to shame Portia. Claudette was like, do your homework, and Portia was like, girl, make sure he can at least provide for you. They trying to shame her because, oh, she only looks at dollar signs. Portia, granted, Portia don't got a man, but at least Portia got standards enough to not just date anybody. Like, it would be one thing if Franklin at least was like doing something with himself. If he just fell on tough times, that would be one thing. Franklin has not just fallen off tough times. He's been in tough times since he was about 15 because he's hard-headed. He don't like to listen. Like, Franklin could be doing so much better if he put some effort in. He don't want to put the effort in. He want to do stuff a certain way, his way, but his way is not working. He's taking it all out on Zora, and Zora's just, oh, it's okay. It's okay. Heifer, it ain't okay.
It's okay. It's okay. Heifer, it ain't okay.
That's why I'm like, this has to be satire, because there is no way Zora, with all that she's got going for herself, is entertaining this man like this, to the point that she has run through her savings and maxed out 2 credit cards. If this is not satire, then Lord, we've already established Terry's not a bad writer and she's an amazing storyteller. If it's not satire, Terry knew exactly what type of story she was writing. But I will say this, I feel like part of the reason it might not be satire is when it came out in 1989 and it takes place in 1982. So you gotta consider the time period, you gotta consider what life was like back then, the circumstances, especially for black people back then. And then on top of that, the big message that they keep pushing in this book is it's not how much they have that matters, it's the content of the heart. And yes, the content of their character and their heart does matter, but so does the provision. They could be the most nicest, most sweetest person in the world, but let's be real. If they can't provide some type of stability, you're not gonna want to be with them. Claudette's sitting up here talking about I got with my husband when he didn't have nothing, and you know, when he was making it work. But like Portia said, but you knew he was gonna be a doctor. You knew he was going somewhere. So I don't know why Claudette gives Zora that advice. The quality of his heart and the content of his heart is what matters most. You are married to a doctor, and you married him because you knew he was gonna be able to succeed as a doctor. You knew he was going somewhere, and you're so glad that he's able to provide this nice stable life for you. So why would you be so appreciative of this, but then tell Zora what he provides doesn't matter? Claudette, be real. I think low-key Portia might be my favorite character because Portia the only one talking real stuff. That's why I feel like this is a satire, because the only person talking real stuff, actually saying stuff that actually makes sense, is the person everybody looks down on, all because she's asking them how much they make and what can they do for her and stuff like that. Actual questions you should be asking a potential life partner, so that we don't end up in a situation like Zora and Franklin, where Franklin is living in her apartment, bringing his boys to the apartment like he doing something over there, and he's not doing nothing, and then he all insecure because he can't do nothing for her. It has to be a satire. This can't be serious.
So today is November 10th. I just wanted to come and talk real quick because I wanted to explain why I feel like Disappearing Acts is a satire. Because, you know, the book club, we didn't meet. We had like a little impromptu meeting over text message to like discuss where we were in the book, how we were feeling about it. And all of us have come to the conclusion that like we feel like this book is a satire, and we hope it's a satire. And Tati even made the point to say that she felt like the book was dated.
In Tati's own words, I absolutely hate it so far. As soon as I picked it up, I was like, Lord, I really picked a struggle love type of book. That's not the type of books we joined book club for, and I think we're completely over that story. Even with Disappearing Acts, you automatically hate Franklin. You can picture him. You know a Franklin in real life who ain't doing nothing, but somehow thinks he's better than everybody else. The characters, no matter how played out, are still relevant today. She brings her characters alive. Although there might be elements that are hit misses with Terry, her writing is very dependable. She's going to have a well-written story with fully developed characters that you may love and hate. I can say a lot of things about Terry, but one thing remains. I see why she's critically acclaimed. She's a writer of a generation that showcases diversity in storylines, stylistic choices, and even mediums. I have developed a deep respect for her since Stella. She was just okay to me. Now she's legendary.
A lot of like what's going on in the book would not fly today. The reason I feel like this book is satirical is because we've already established in our Waiting to Exhale video that Terry McMillan is an amazing storyteller and an amazing writer, right? Granted, this book came out before Waiting to Exhale, and it came out before Stella. We've already established that she's an amazing writer and an amazing storyteller, right? So the reason I feel like this book is satirical is because I feel like she's drawing comparisons to Their Eyes Were Watching God. Their Eyes Were Watching God is put on a literal pedestal in the book next to a picture of Zora's mom. So obviously she's got this book on a pedestal next to this photo of her mom. Obviously because, it's a way to like feel, I guess, close to her mom. I'm assuming we're still kind of early in the book, so I'm not really sure where we're going with that. If I'm assuming where we're going is correct, I feel like this book is a satire because I feel like Terry is kind of poking fun at Their Eyes Were Watching God. I feel like she's honoring it and poking fun at it at the same time. I feel like she's honoring it because Their Eyes Were Watching God was a groundbreaking story for its time. Because remember, it came out in like 1937. So you never really saw stories about Black people, Southern Black people to be specific. Most stories about Black people were mostly focused on Black people in the North, or if they were focused on Black people in the South, they weren't really like on the level of Their Eyes Were Watching God. I'm gonna say it like that. Like the representations of Black people in the South were not good in stories. It's still kind of not good in stories even now. She's honoring that this book was groundbreaking and that it opened a lot of doors, not only for Black writers, but especially for Black women writers, including herself. But I also feel like she's poking fun at Their Eyes Were Watching God. I completely despised all of Janie's husbands. I hated Logan. I hated Joe. I hated Tea Cake. I didn't like none of them. And I feel like she's poking fun at that, at the fact that them relationships, even though they might have been what was the norm at the time in 1937, and the relationship with Tea Cake might have been a groundbreaking good relationship at the time. I'm not really sure if that was considered a good relationship. I don't consider that a good relationship. I don't consider being in love with a man who lies to you, cheats on you, beats on you, and steals from you a good relationship. But I digress. But I feel like Terry is poking fun at them relationships because Zora is in this horrible relationship with Franklin. I do not like him. Let's just tell the truth. He's a bum. He could have stuff going for himself if he would get out his feelings and would just take a step like Zora is taking. I feel like this is why it's a satire, because it's showcasing to its target audience, which is Black women who are in these type of relationships. This is what y'all look like, and this is how ridiculous y'all look. That's number one. But also number two, I feel like it's a satire because it's poking fun at Their Eyes Are Watching God. And it's poking fun at like the relationship and how Janie put basically Tea Cake on a pedestal as like the perfect man for her, and we as the reader like, this man is trash, like what are you doing, Janie? And I feel like that's what's going on in this book. It's like Zora is so in love with Franklin. She's like, oh, he's perfect, he's everything I want in a man, and we the reader are like, girl, what is wrong with you? This man is terrible. He's trash. You could do so much better. What are you doing? So that's why I feel like it's a satire, because I feel like she's poking fun at Their Eyes Were Watching God and paying homage to it at the same time. And also because she's showcasing to her target audience who are in these type of relationships, this is what y'all look like and this is how ridiculous y'all look.
Today's November 15th. I can honestly say that between this and Disappearing Acts, I think I definitely prefer Stella. Stella's a straight story, whereas Disappearing Acts, I am fully convinced, and you cannot convince me otherwise, that book is a satire. Franklin and Zora are just so annoying. But Stella, I'm finding myself enjoying her character. Even though I find the Disappearing Acts characters to be annoying, that's the point. They're supposed to be annoying because it's a satire. You're not supposed to find them lovable and enjoyable and stuff like that. They're supposed to be annoying. So then Zora realizes that her menstrual cycle has not happened like it's supposed to, and they are struggling financially. She wants to get to know Franklin's son some more, and she also does not want to go through with another terminated pregnancy. So she goes and talks to her homegirls about what she should do. She has not told them that she has seizures, and she's concerned that she might have another seizure during the pregnancy before she tells Franklin that she suffers from epilepsy. Because she can't afford this baby, and because she's concerned about having more seizures before she's ready to tell Franklin, she talks to her homegirls, and her homegirls are like, well, Zora, the choice is yours. What do you want to do? And Zora's like, I think I just need to go ahead and not keep it. So they give her the money to go through with the procedure, and Portia takes her up there to do it. The whole experience is just so harrowing to her that she's like, I hope I never have to do this again. I'm promising myself this is the last time. So when she gets home, Franklin is like, where were you? What were you up to? And Zora, she tells him she went to the clinic because she had a yeast infection. And Franklin's like, all right, actions speak louder than words. He's pissed off at her. She doesn't understand why. And so when she finally gets in contact with him again, he's like, I know you lied to me about what you really did. I know when you get your period. So I knew you were pregnant, and I know that you went to the clinic
and got rid of it. How could you do that without consulting me? They have the whole discussion, but Franklin's pissed off about it. She gets a call from the hospital. Franklin is in the hospital because he got in a work accident because he was drunk on the job because he was so pissed off that Zora went to the clinic and did what she did. She goes up there. She's like, Franklin, I'm so sorry. He gets a job, comes home from working in the cold, and Zora's in there on the piano practicing, singing a song about heartbreak. And this pisses him off, and he's also mad that she done got her hair cornrowed. He don't like it on her. So Portia invites her to go out and hang out. He picks a fight with her. You're always hanging out with your homegirls. I'm lonely here, because he don't have no friends of his own. It makes me feel like you don't want to be around me, and that they're trying to take Zora away from him. And Zora's like, Franklin, I'm not finna be cooped up in this house with you. So she goes out. And so he spends the night by himself mad, and Zora tells him that she'll be home by 10, but she really gets home at 1 a.m. And so Franklin's like, oh, where you been? And she's like, what do you mean where I been? I was out with Portia. And he's like, yeah, you was probably out with Portia, and you was probably out with another guy. Just going in on her because she came home at 1 instead of 10. And she's like, I am grown. I can do what I want. So then they go to Franklin's parents for Thanksgiving. Darlene likes her. Christine likes her. Franklin's dad likes her, but Franklin's mom does not like her. And Zora, she's trying to make a good impression. And so she ends up drinking some alcohol, talking about what her dreams are for Franklin. And his mom gets pissed off and throws some mashed potatoes in her face. Everybody starts going off on her. They're like, how could you do that to her? Why would you do that? You're tripping. She ain't did nothing to you for you to do that. She didn't deserve that. So Franklin, he goes off. He takes Zora home, gets her cleaned up, get her together. She's like, what did I do? Did I say something wrong? Did I do something wrong? Franklin's like, no, it's not you, it's her. His dad tells her not to worry about it. And so he and Franklin, they talk for a little bit, and Franklin wishes he could just have a one-on-one talk with his dad, just man to man. But he can't because, number one, Zora's there, but also number two, he feels like his dad don't have no courage to do something outside of his mom. So when they get home, he gets Zora squared away. And so Zora gets up to go to the bathroom in the night, and he hears her fall on the floor. So he goes out to see what's going on, and she's on the floor having a seizure, and he don't know what to do. So he just curls up in a ball and like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do.
Get out!
Today is November 15th. It's like I don't like the characters, and the story's kind of annoying, but it's good. Like, Terry did a good job with it. But you're not supposed to like the characters, and you're not supposed to like the story. But I will say, reading this juxtaposed to Stella and how Stella got her groove back, I think it proves that Terry is an amazing writer and really good. I'm really enjoying that book, but this one, I don't know. Because Franklin is just so annoying, and Zora is just like, oh my gosh. Zora, come on now. People flinging mashed potatoes in your face. Franklin just being difficult overall. You over here talking about you tired, but you gonna stick it out with him because you got faith in him. Like, girl, just let him go. You got so much going for yourself, and you gonna stick it out with this man who ain't got nothing going for himself. And now he impeding on your fun. That's not even that expensive. We can do better than this.
So then after she gets done having the seizure, he puts her in the bed and he just starts nursing her. Zora wakes up. She is like, I do not want to face Franklin because she still has not told him that she suffers from epilepsy. He's like, he's going to leave me. This is going to be the end of us. I just already know it. So when she finally does decide to stop pretending like she's asleep, Franklin's like, hey, how you doing? She's like, oh my gosh, she's still here.
I hope you get it together.
I hope you do so.
Ooh, girl.
So Franklin promised to be divorced by Pam in the spring. And so she takes her braids out and Franklin fully moves into the apartment. Some time goes by and Franklin does not have a consistent job, and Zora is tired of always having to support them. Her dad offers to fly them out for Christmas to come visit them. That's what they do. Franklin gets a job painting walls through January, so he's gonna have a job at least through December and January. They go see Marie in this comedy show, and Marie is really funny. And so after she gets done, she comes over to the table like, hey, I'm so glad y'all made it. And so, she's talking to Zora and Franklin, and like she kind of bends over. And so Franklin is staring, and Zora gets low-key jealous because she's like, why are you staring at my homegirl like that? And so they fly home for Christmas. He meets Marguerite and Zora's dad. They both like him. This family gathering goes a lot better. And her uncle is also there. Her uncle is there because he got put out by his wife for cheating on her again. And so they have them a good Christmas. And then when it's time to go to bed, Zora goes to sleep in her old room. And Marguerite's like, okay, Franklin, you can go sleep in the guest room. And then here comes Zora's dad. Franklin, where do you sleep at home? With Zora. Well, that's where you're going to sleep while you're here. And I'm like, in your home? Ain't you a deacon at the church?
I mean, that's nasty.
Franklin's
gets the go-ahead from Pops to go sleep in the room with Zora. He feeling a little frisky, but Zora like, not while my daddy is next door.
I mean, that's nasty.
You know, he starts doing some of the home repairs on the house because, you know, he notices that her dad isn't really able to get up there and do it because, you know, he's older. So he's like, I'll do it for him. And so they get to talking, and he gets to talk man to man that he wants to do with his own dad, but he does it with Zora's dad instead. And Zora's dad likes him, and he's like, just give him a chance to get his life together, and things will go all right.
I can't do this. I can't.
So Franklin does not want to spend a whole bunch of money on New Year's Eve, but Zora, she wants to go out to this place that's like very expensive. And he's low-key hoping that Marie will come over for New Year's. Claudette, she has her baby and names it George. And Franklin, he likes making Zora jealous because he says that it proves that she loves him.
Get out!
So Portia and her date, they get them tickets to the Savoy. And so Zora's like, let's go. And Franklin's like, no, we're not going. I'm not spending all that money. And so Zora's pissed off that he don't want to go out with her. So she ends up cleaning the apartment instead. And Franklin, instead of helping clean up, he gets dressed up. He runs into his ex Terry at the bar. He and Terry, they get to talking. They get caught up. He tells her about Zora. And then she invites him back to her place. And so they get back to her place and they start sleeping together. But he doesn't really enjoy it because it's not Zora. So he ends it. When he gets back home, Zora is like, I'm going out whether you like it or not. They get into an argument because he claims he's saving up money to buy a car. And that's what he's saving the money that her dad gave him. Zora spent hers paying their bills. And he's saving his for this old hoopty. And so he basically is like, look, if you just stick it out with me, and if you just forego having some fun for a little bit until we save up to get this car, we can have all the fun we want once we make it to the good life. So she decides to stay home and forgo having fun, believing in Franklin's dream.
Oh, stop it, stop it, oh, stop it.
So then when she runs into Portia, Portia is like, I cannot believe you stood me up for this man. I know he forced you to stay home. He talked you out of coming. And she starts going off about Franklin. She does not like Franklin. She says that Franklin is holding her back, is dimming her light. He's not doing nothing for her. But Zora's just so in love that she's like, oh no, you just don't understand. So because Portia is going off, she just wants the full truth about Franklin. She's like, this man is not doing nothing for you. What is he doing for you? Zora tells Portia that he's married, but he's separated and he's getting a divorce. And Portia's like, girl, you cannot be serious. And she tells Portia, why don't y'all all just come over for a game night and y'all can all get to know him for yourselves? And Zora, she's tired of being everything to everybody. And she's getting ready to record her demo to send out to record labels to maybe get a deal. And Franklin finally goes to do this consultation at the trade school, but it flopped because he can't find his GED. And so he starts claiming that his knee is bothering him. So Zora sings another song for him, and she realizes that Franklin is jealous of her because every time he claims his knee is bothering him, it's always when it has something to do with her and her music. Franklin's son, Derek, he did something that caused Franklin to lose the $500 that Zora's dad gave him because he had to use that money to pay for it. So now Franklin is back broke. Zora tells him to go down to the school to talk to them, maybe see if they can work something out, because there should be some way to prove that he has his GED without physically presenting it. He goes to do it. Zora ends up eating through a whole tub of ice cream, and she's concerned about her weight. She's like, oh, I hope I don't get too big, because then Franklin's going to leave me. So when Franklin gets back, he's drunk, and he didn't go down to the school because he felt like it was going to be a waste of time. And he wants to sleep together, and Zora, she doesn't really want to, but she decides to go ahead and go through with it because Franklin keeps bugging her. It's very uncomfortable for her. She doesn't like it. She goes to her vocal lesson, and Reginald tells her that she's not focused. And so he lovingly tells her, don't come back until you are in a better space mentally and able to focus better. So then they go for the game night, and nobody can make it, and her dad is in the hospital. I believe today is November 16th. Zora is giving Robin, which is actually kind of funny because Zora came first. So I guess if you want to flip it around, Robin is giving Zora. Either way, they're both doing the same thing. They both fiending for these men that aren't really on their level. Franklin knows he's not on Zora's level because he keeps complaining that she's got all this going for her. He's not really like where he wants to be at in life, and what if Zora gets big and is she gonna leave me behind, all this type of stuff, and don't you know I just need you, and all this type of stuff, right? And yet the man keeps actively taking steps to not progress. Keep claiming it's the man holding him down and a black man can't get ahead. No, Franklin, it's just you. You don't want to do better. You don't want to be better. Honestly and truthfully, you just want everything handed to you. She is getting tired of Franklin, getting tired of having to live in struggle love, but she keep deluding herself that everything is fine. How's everything fine when you keep saying I'm tired? I'm basically tired of being everything to everybody. You tired this and tired that. But everything is fine. Everything's okay. All I know is I got about 17 more chapters of struggle love, and I don't know how much more I can take. And so then Franklin eventually finds his GED, and he goes and enrolls at the school. He's tired of being in construction. He's tired of being broke. He wants to be on Zora's level. So his friend Jimmy is in jail, and he calls Franklin to bail him out. Franklin don't got the money, but he knows that Zora got the money. Franklin gets a call from Kendricks, who runs A Dream Deferred, and Kendricks tells him, hey, I got a new job for you. It pays better, but it's going to require you to leave the job that you currently have. And so Franklin takes the risk and accepts the job, and then he gets a call that Darlene is in the hospital. Fell onto a subway track, but Franklin suspects that that's not what actually happened. She's got to stay in the hospital to do some psych tests. So he goes to see her, and she admits that she's tired and she's unsure of her future. He plans to visit her after she gets discharged and encourages her to have some fun in her life. And you know, he's like, why don't you come stay with me and Zora for a few days? So Franklin is counting on Zora to provide him the bail money. And so he's waiting on her to come home, but she's spending the night at Marie's because Marie has some kind of emergency. So then he goes to call Lucky, but Lucky can't give him the money. So Franklin's just pissed off because nobody can come through. And he's like, Jimmy's counting on me. And he realizes that he really don't have no friends like that, and he's lonely without Zora. And so Zora is staying at Marie's because Marie is facing eviction because she can't afford her bills. Her comedy career is really not taking off like that. Zora goes over there. She's tired of being everything to everybody, but she's also like, I need to stop being so selfish. Maybe if I stop being so selfish, maybe things will turn around for me. And you know, her dad's feeling better, so he's at the hospital. So she gets over there to Marie's house, and Marie don't got no clothes on. So Zora's like, Marie, where is your clothes? And Marie is like, this is my house. I'll do what I want. So they get to talking, and Zora's like, I'm not going to give her no pity. I'm going to tell her straight up that she need to get it together. Before she can give the speech, she realizes that Marie is extremely drunk. So she's like, there's not going to be no point wasting my time on the speech. So she decides to make her some coffee to sober her up. And while she's making the coffee, Marie comes on to her. And Zora's like, Marie, girl, what are you doing? And Marie is like, girl, don't act surprised. Marie, I do not swing that way. Get off of me. And so she ends up slapping Marie. And she tells Marie, don't you ever do that again in your life. And she runs off. And so she runs home to Franklin. And she's just so frazzled by what just went down with Marie that she's like, Franklin, turn over. We gonna sleep together. So she sleeps with Franklin. And they make a promise to each other to never leave each other, right?
So today is November 18th. I just want Zora to just leave Franklin. He is literally dragging her down and dimming her light. I am so sick of these two being together because Franklin, he started trade school finally. He finally is taking steps to doing better. Franklin is just showing himself to be more and more out for himself and only for himself. Zora is trying to be Superwoman. She's trying to be every woman to everybody. And it's like, it is so annoying seeing this dynamic. Franklin is just taking, and Zora is giving. And Franklin complains about how he wishes he could give, but all he does is take. Even when he's in a position to give, all he does is take. And Zora complains about how she's always giving, but she doesn't want to be selfish either. And it's just like, y'all, just break up. I got a whole second half of this book to deal with Zora and Franklin. If this is a satire and it's meant to be a satire, Terry is getting a 5 because this is probably the most successful satire of this type of relationship that I have read.
So then Franklin, he's doing really good at his new job, and he gets the money to bail Jimmy out, and Jimmy explains what happened. What happened was it was a drug deal gone wrong. This girl showed up, and there was a guy there that she owed money to, and so she brought another guy with him, and what ended up happening was the guy that she owed money to picked up Jimmy's gun and shot and killed the guy with Jimmy's gun. And so because Jimmy's gun was the one that was used, he's the one that got hit with the charges. So Franklin promised to talk to Claudette because Claudette's a lawyer. He's gonna talk to Zora see if she can get Claudette to help Jimmy out. He calls to see like when Darlene is gonna get discharged and stuff like that. And Darlene's already discharged herself. And so Franklin is pissed off because she lied to him. She's staying with their parents. And so he's pissed off about this. And he's like, you know what, they all deserve each other. And, you know, he doesn't like the place that they're living in. He wants to move them out into a different place because the place that they're living in is Zora's place. And Zora's name is on the lease only. And Franklin's name isn't on the lease, so he wants to move them out because he's got all this money and he's feeling himself and he wants both of their names on the lease.
I didn't know ratchet was a language. This is in ratchet.
He decides to backstab Jimmy and decides not to get Claudette's help after all. And he's like, you know what, Jimmy got himself in the mess. He can get himself out. When Franklin goes to work the next day, he notices that Kendricks is down there talking, and he notices that some of the minorities got took off the job, and he sees Kendrick leaving with this envelope. But Franklin is like, something ain't right. But you know what? I still got my job, so it ain't got nothing to do with me.
Did you graduate from high school? I really want to know, because you sound as stupid as you look right now. Go ahead, honey.
So Zora, because Franklin has made the decision that he wants them to stay in a new place, she's rushing around trying to find a new place for them to stay in. And Franklin, he finally got into the union, and he's pulling in all this overtime. So he's never around. She's just irritated with him. And she had to use most of the money that she was going to use for studio time to make her demo. She has to use that on the deposit. So now she's low on studio money. She's run through her savings. She's maxed out these credit cards. She might be pregnant again because of that night she came home and was like, Franklin, turn over. And they're still struggling. And he hasn't gotten a divorce like he promised that he would. And so when Franklin comes home, he's like, I know you're pregnant. Please keep it this time. And Zora's like, fine, I will keep it. So Zora keeps the baby, and her pregnancy is progressing along, right? And Franklin thinks that she's getting lazy and overweight. Keep in mind, Zora is pregnant, but she's still really active. It's around this point that it begins to become clear that Pam was probably going through them pregnancies alone. For Franklin to have had 2 kids, he sure don't know a lot about pregnancy.
Just because you read Google facts all day, you think you know?
And he's slowly starting to regret asking her to keep the baby. He's put her singing on hold because she's pregnant, and she's giving him an ultimatum. She's like, look, you need to get this divorce by Thanksgiving because I don't want to be raising this baby out of wedlock. All he uses her now is to sleep together with, and that hurts her feelings because it's not like passionate like it used to be.
So today's November 24th, right? And Zora is pregnant again. But this time she's keeping it. First of all, Franklin, the way he's acted during this pregnancy is really just solidifying how trash of a guy he really is. And my thing is, Zora is so concerned about what her father is going to think about her being pregnant and not being married because Zora grew up in church, right? She grew up in the church. I think her daddy's like a deacon or something. But my thing is this, Zora's image of her dad and what we actually saw of her daddy, they don't match up. Because Zora thinks her dad is going to be like super upset and he wants everything to be done the right way, right? But when we went up to visit for Christmas, it was Marguerite who wanted y'all to sleep in separate rooms, but it was your daddy who put y'all together in the same room and basically said, do what you like because you're already doing it. Me being me, I don't think your dad is really going to care all that much that you're pregnant because he's already shown that he's not this strict conservative man that you've built him up to be. I can already tell what's gonna happen. I saw the signs coming way earlier in the book. This man gonna end up probably cheating on her. He's already cheated once before, but he probably don't consider it cheating because he didn't enjoy it. I consider it cheating because it wasn't Zora. He gonna go cheat on her again, and this time he gonna enjoy it because now Zora is no longer how he's used to her being. She's going through pregnancy. And like this is the same issue he had with Pam. This is why he fell out of love with Pam. Pam had 2 kids and obviously, was pregnant twice in a very short time span. So her body reflected that. Franklin only looks at the exterior. He don't really look at the interior. Look, what has he done this whole book? He's been nothing but jealous of Zora. He's wanted things to go his way with Zora, like him moving them out of her apartment that she owned, because only her name was on the lease, to a place where both of their names are on the lease now. On short notice, he just focused on surface, which is why when Pam got pregnant with his sons and reflected that, he started divorce proceedings. Even though he still ain't got this divorce. He said he was going to have this divorce by spring. He still ain't got it. It's summer. Zora's having this baby on January 1st, and she wants them to be married before she has the baby. He only cares about himself. And I just feel like Zora's going to be hurt in the worst way.
Portia is also pregnant. She's pregnant by the married man, Arthur, that she was sleeping with. He's excited for the baby. His wife knows about her, knows about the baby. She's fine with it.
I didn't know ratchet was a language. This is in ratchet.
I didn't agree with all Portia's decisions, but she still was the one with the most common sense in the book. She says she gonna keep the baby, but she's not really planning to be with Arthur like that. but she's set for life because Arthur got money. And she's moving back to Nashville because New York is not a place where she wants to raise her child. And so Zora's scared to tell her father because she's scared what her father's going to think. She's also scared of what's like going to become of her life once she has this baby. And she, she misses singing. Her and Franklin make plans to do something fun because they don't do anything fun anymore. So they decide to go to this concert that's featuring like all these artists. And so they get up there and they get into a cheap motel. They go out on the town to like have a good time and eat and stuff like that. Franklin is getting drunk. He's got the job, so he's paying for some stuff, but he's annoyed that Zora's also paying for some stuff and making it look like he can't afford to buy stuff for her. So he's annoyed with her for that. They hang out for the day and he's not really aroused by her because she's pregnant. He's mad at her because he wanted to go look at like some woodworking stuff, but she was like, oh, I don't really want to look at that. But they looking at all the stuff that she want to look at. And so they go out to eat because she's hungry. And it's this expensive seafood place and he's mad that she gets the most expensive thing on the menu. And he picks a fight with her, basically, and Zora's like, you know what? I'm not doing this with you. And so they forgot their concert tickets at the motel. So they go back to the motel, get the tickets, and then they go to the concert. And they end up, like, sitting down on the lawn. And so as they're enjoying the concert, he sees some young girls walk past, and, he's staring at them. And Zora's like, really? And Franklin's like, what? They get into it a little bit, and then he walks away to go smoke. And when he comes back, Zora's not where she was. He finds her sitting outside waiting on a cab to go back to the motel. And he's like, what you sitting out here for? And I spent all this money on this concert tickets. And she's like, you embarrassed me. And I'm going back to the motel. And so he picks a fight with her and they get to arguing. And he blames her for getting pregnant and trapped him into this unhappy life. And he basically sends her home in a cab. She's like, I can't stay with this man. I can't do this. She's like, I gotta get up out of here. But there's no way for her to get back home. She's like, I've seen this before. And I've seen women in these type of situations before. It never ends well. I don't want to be one of them women. I gotta get up out of this. So Franklin gets back to the motel. He walked. He gets in there and he picks another fight. And they get to arguing. He's still blaming her, talking about she trapped him. He picked a fight he wasn't ready for. He puts his hands on her. Zora's like, you got me jacked up. She starts throwing stuff at him. And, he's like, baby, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I'm so sorry. She's like, oh, yeah, you better be sorry. Do it again. Do it again. And I'll lay you right out with this clock. I'm so serious.
A bit of spirit after all.
So he goes out and he goes take a swim. And she's pissed off at him. She's like, what am I going to do? I can't believe this. This can't be the man that I fell in love with. She starts feeling bad for him. So she lets him back in the motel.
Why do you hate me? What have I done to you that you should ever hate me so?
And she makes him promise to stop drinking so much. And she tells him the next time he puts his hands on her, she's done. Should have been done this time, but I digress.
Oh, heck no. Oh, heck no. Franklin done put his hands on Zora because he is jealous and can't handle the fact that Zora does not need him. These two just need to break up. Like, we have no reason to be together. I don't think I can deal with any more struggle love. I don't know how much more worse it can get than Franklin putting his hands on Zora and Zora just being like, well, don't do it again. Girl, leave. Leave. It's Robin all over again.
So the next day, Franklin takes her to see the horses and he moves them into a nicer hotel. And they end up having a great time on the rest of their vacation. But when they get back home, Franklin gets laid off and the union can't help him because what happened was they called him in the office and told him, we gotta let you go. And he was like, y'all ain't gotta let me go. This is some bullcrap. He walked off the lot. So the union can't help him because he did that and they consider that quitting. So when he gets home, he gets into it with their new landlord over the heat and then he gets drunk. And so when Zora comes home, she finds him drunk and she's pissed. And they get to arguing because Eli calls to tell her that Reginald got shingles. Franklin claims that Zora never has time for him, being insecure, being jealous, and just being annoying at this point. Zora goes sleeps on the couch, and the next day he discovers that he got laid off because Kendricks was backstabbing everybody, and what he would do is he would get them on the jobs and then would accept payments to get them taken off. And so he got caught doing this and he got arrested. So Zora is getting closer to her due date to have the baby, and she's annoyed that Franklin is still not working. time, he's become overly critical about her weight, and she's determined to prove that she can lose the weight after she has the baby. Her dad excited about the baby, and he tells her to trust Franklin to do right by her. She's just tired of Franklin, so she wants her space and her freedom, and she wants him to step up and help take care of this baby that's coming and help take care of their lives. And so one day she comes home and she confronts him about not pulling his weight. He says he's tired and he's just giving up on life, and he blames his mother for ruining his manhood and says that Zora's doing the same thing by always coming down on him and expecting him to do all of this stuff. And he claims that she puts everything before him and he just wants her attention, and he just continues blaming her for stuff.
Today is November 25th. Franklin is flopping even harder than he already has in this book, and he's blaming all of his issues on Zora. How are you going to blame Zora and your mom when everything that's gone wrong in your life has been your fault? And now Zora has had the baby, and it's like, is Franklin gonna step up like Zora's dad believes he's gonna step up? Or is he gonna be even bigger of a flop? I'm curious to see how this is gonna go.
And he's just feeling very broken and broke, and he just feels overwhelmed and he feels like a loser. So he decides to prove his mom wrong about how he would never become anything in life by deciding to get it together and clean the apartment. And while he's cleaning the apartment, he gets drunk, starts getting in his feelings because, he's slacking on his woodwork, and he discovers that Darlene had a nervous breakdown and she doesn't want visitors in the hospital. And so then Zora comes home after he's done all of this, and she's grateful that he took the initiative to do something, and he promises to her that he'll do better.
Get out!
The next day, Claudette throws Zora a baby shower. All of her homegirls are there. There's some people there that Zora doesn't know, but Marie's there. She's doing a lot better. She got herself a job. She's making good money, and she hooks Zora up with this music producer. Portia shows up with her new baby that she named Sierra. She got married to Arthur, who left his wife for her. And then 3 weeks later, after this baby shower, Franklin starts slipping again. Zora goes into labor while she's cleaning the house for Christmas, and she's freaking out. She's like, oh my gosh, I've gone into labor. Franklin the whole time is like, it's not that serious, like, just calm down. He calls the hospital and they tell them that they gotta wait about 10 hours before they can go into the hospital. And so then they eventually make it to the hospital and she has to be induced. And Franklin is just super unserious and he's drinking during the whole thing.
Get out!
This to me proved that Pam was really in this by herself, because the way he's acting with Zora, I'm pretty sure he acted the same way with Pam, and that's how he and Pam got to where they were. They have a boy, but Franklin wanted a girl, but he's happy that it's a boy, and they name him Jeremiah. So Franklin goes home, he gets the house straightened up for the return, and he tricks the union people into putting him on a job that'll last for about 3 months. And so Zora's happy for him, but she's kind of like, what are we doing? Because you were supposed to be going outside of construction. You're supposed to be looking for things outside of your field. And so she comes home with the baby, and she has the baby sleeping in the room with them, experiencing that new mom nervousness. And Franklin's annoyed by this because he wants his alone time with Zora, and he feels like the baby is cramping his style.
Get out!
So after she has the baby, she quickly drops the weight, and she doesn't have stretch marks like Franklin claimed that she would. And so Franklin is low-key jealous because he's also put on some weight, number one, but also of the attention that the baby is getting. He really does not know anything about taking care of a baby. Like, he doesn't know how to change a pamper. He don't know how to do nothing. And it's like, how do you got 2 sons and you don't know how to do nothing? And he's treating Zora like she's lazy, even though she literally just had a baby. And her dad wants her and the baby to come visit for a week, and Zora's like, we're gonna go visit, and Franklin's like, you're just gonna leave me here by myself? How can you do this to me?
Get out!
And he's just annoyed because, sleeping together with her is just not the same. They go for this week to go visit her dad, and he can barely take care of himself while they're gone. And he's realizing that, he's gaining weight and he can't really do nothing for himself. He goes to work drunk, and he ends up getting in a work accident that causes him to be out of commission because he hurts his knee. And Zora has to come home and tend to him, and, he's all excited because he finally got her attention. The baby has become Zora's whole world, and she's determined to get them out of New York by the time he's 3, because she's like, this is no place to raise a baby. She meets this daycare worker who can't really take Jeremiah because he's too young, but she gives her the number to her cousin Mary, who takes care of babies. And so Zora meets with Mary, and Mary agrees to watch Jeremiah for $50 a week, and she's very good with babies. She starts letting Mary watch the baby, and she goes back to work, and she's feeling guilty. Franklin, he's working on getting his workman comp since he's at home just recovering, but he's still able to get around. Zora asks him to, can you pick up Jeremiah in the afternoons? Do y'all think Franklin does that? Franklin fails at doing this simple thing because he's so busy working on his woodworking that he's forgot all about the baby.
Get out!
And then the day after that, he remembers to pick up the baby, but then he leaves the baby lying in poop.
because he claimed he don't know how to change a diaper. And so over time, Franklin becomes a deadbeat.
I'm really not surprised.
She has no time for herself anymore because she's having to pay all the bills and take care of the baby and take care of Franklin, and she's tired of him not stepping up. So Zora gives him till Thanksgiving to get his life together or it's over. And she becomes depressed by this, but she realizes she can still do her music, and she becomes more interested in songwriting because songwriting will allow her to do music without having to leave Jeremiah. So Franklin, he's feeling spiteful and jealous of Jeremiah because Jeremiah's getting all of Zora's attention, and he doesn't know what to do with himself, and he's tired of trying to make Zora proud of him. And the only thing he cares about and sees for himself is doing woodworking. He confronts Zora about sidelining him for the baby. Zora's like, what are you talking about? So she goes to get on the phone, and he gets upset with her, and so he literally snatches the phone out of the wall and breaks it, and he starts going off. And so then after he goes off, he leaves, and Zora, she uses another phone that they have to get in contact with Reginald to let him know what was going on, and he's doing okay. And then Franklin comes home drunk, and he's like, you're gonna sleep with me. And Zora's like, well, I don't want to sleep with you, so what are you gonna do, force yourself on me? And he's like, yeah, if that's what it takes. And that's what he does.
It's not. I want to fight. What's good?
For what?
I want to fight. I want to fight.
And Zora literally cannot believe it. She cannot believe that Franklin did that to her. She doesn't believe this is the same Franklin that she once fell in love with. So she takes Jeremiah and she goes sleep on the couch. And then in the morning, Franklin comes out the room talking about something. I just want to let you know that it's over between us and that I'm leaving and I'll have my stuff out by Thanksgiving. And she is relieved by this. And, you know, she's like, yes, I can get my life back. I get my life back on track. And so she calls her producer connection. Today is November 25th, and I'm on chapter 30 of Disappearing Acts. Franklin has really just showed his behind. He's really just gone full out villain on us. He is jealous of the baby, suspicious of Zora doing stuff that she's not doing. Now he done came home and did some stuff he wasn't supposed to do to her, and now he's talking about he leaving, and he wants out the relationship, even though he's been the cause of all the problems and been a deadbeat, and I'm gonna say it, been a loser. Anyway, he talking about he gone. I'm like, good riddance. Zora's like, good riddance. I'm happy. Maybe she can get back to doing her and living good with the baby. And I really don't care what he got going on. But Franklin was just bluffing. He wanted to see what Zora would do if he told her that he would be out. And he realizes that she wants him out. And so he's like, well, since she want me out, I'm going to take all the time I need to get up out of here. Because he really don't have nowhere to go. He don't have no money because his workman comp didn't come through. It was determined that he was the person at fault. So he's broke. He ain't got no money. He ain't got nowhere to go. So he's decided to stay until he's getting ready to leave because his name is also on the lease. And this is what pissed me off with Zora because I was like, why would you do this? He didn't leave. He was just calling her bluff. I want him out this house. Get out this lady house. Like, he's just doing too much. Now he's talking about he'll leave when he gets good and ready. I just want him gone. I just want him to go. Like, I'm basically at the end of this book. I got about 4 chapters left. I want him to go. I'm sick of him. Like, get out this lady house. Like, for real. Zora just need to call a male cousin to just come through real quick and take care of things. That's all she needs to do, just real quick. He's mad at himself for being trash and for just acting so out of character with Zora, and his pride is also hurt because Zora's the breadwinner, and that's why he's been being a deadbeat, because he's like, well, since she's the breadwinner and I can't seem to prove myself, what's the point? Comes home and he picks a fight with Zora. It was a swimsuit model calendar of men, and it gets delivered, and he gets pissed off about this calendar, even though Zora bought him a calendar. And so she's like, you mad at me about this calendar, but I literally bought you a calendar and you didn't have nothing to say. He's like, this is disrespectful to me. You could have at least waited till I got out of here. And so he threatens her, and Zora's like, are you threatening me? And he's like, he basically like, yeah, I'm threatening you. She gets her a knife and she takes it in the room with her. She takes Jeremiah in the room with her and she goes to sleep. She wakes up and discovers that she's safe, discovers that Jeremiah is okay. She tells Mary what's going on. She leaves Jeremiah with Mary for a few days and she goes to Portia. And Portia's like, did he put his hands on you? She's like, and Zora, she's like, I'm afraid that he might. So Portia's like, you need to get a restraining order. First, she's reluctant to do it, but then she realizes that Portia is right. So she and Portia go down to the police.
and she gets a restraining order on Franklin. She called and told him that she got a restraining order on him. And so he told her, how can you do this to me? How can you put the white man on me? You know what? I'll be out. And everything I paid for in here, I'm taking with me. And they go to have it served to him. And when they get there, they find that he's left the apartment and he's completely destroyed the apartment. And he destroyed half of everything because that was, I guess, his half that he bought, even though I'm not sure how he bought it when he ain't had no money. Zora is like, she's going to stay in the apartment and she's going to get it cleaned up. She doesn't think Franklin's going to come back. And, she starts moving off from Franklin, but she misses him.
Oh, stop it, oh, stop it.
And she was pissing me off with this because I'm like, how can you miss him after he's done all of this to you? Like, come on now, Zora. But yeah, she misses him. The holidays are bad because she's lonely. And so Franklin, he's like, all he wanted Zora to do was to give him another chance. But since she didn't do that, he went out to the bar. He met Terry. Terry was like, hey, if you need a place to stay, I'll give you a place to stay. No strings attached. He also sees Jimmy, and Jimmy gives him some drugs after Franklin begs him for him. Jimmy's like, you really don't want to do this. You don't really want to get on this stuff. This is not you. Franklin's like, I don't care what you're talking about. Give me some drugs. So Jimmy gets him some drugs. And then he gets himself high. And then that's when he went and trashed the apartment.
Yeah, I was your white woman for 11 years. Background to my foreground. Hey, get out!
And then he makes a pact to himself to get his life together in 3 months because he realizes just how far off the deep end he has gone. So then 3 months later, he goes to visit Zora and Jeremiah because he just wants to see how Jeremiah is doing. And Zora tells him that he can see Jeremiah whenever he wants. After he leaves, Franklin's father comes visit. And he tells Zora that he's trying to find Franklin because he wants to talk to him, let him know what's going on. Darlene has made another attempt on her life. And so he's taking care of Darlene again. And he's left Franklin's mother because he fell out of love with her like 24 years ago. He hasn't loved her in such a long time. He didn't see nothing else to do with his life. But he realizes just how messed up the family has become because of that. So he finally left and he's looking for Franklin to talk to him and let him know what's going on. But Zora can't get in contact with him because she doesn't know where Franklin is either. He has no contact information. Franklin went back to work and he's gone back to school and he's back on his own. And he still wants Zora, but he hasn't been around to see her or the baby. But he's been walking by the apartment, looking in the apartment when she's in there. And he finally got his divorce. And so then months later, he goes to see Zora again for an update on Jeremiah. They talk to each other. They apologize. Zora reveals that she's shifted her focus to songwriting and that she's moving to Toledo, which is where she's from. And Franklin's like, so you're leaving me? She's like, I'm not leaving you. I'm leaving New York. You're always welcome in our lives. And they decide they're not going to get back together just yet because they're still working on themselves. They don't want to be apart either. So the book ends with them basically deciding to sleep together and play Scrabble with the intention that they're eventually going to get back together. And that's how the book ends.
I didn't know Ratchet was a language. This is in Ratchet.
Heck no. Heck no. Oh my gosh. I just finished the book. We went through all of this for what? Because the end of the book is basically them. Zora, I still love you, but I'm moving back to Toledo because I want my son to grow up and be able to go outside and run around in the yard. Franklin, oh, I'm in college, but I'm still working construction, and I'm sorry. And Zora talking about she's sorry too. I'm like, Zora, what are you sorry for? You didn't do nothing. What, you sorry for expecting Franklin to be a man and fulfill his responsibilities as a man and as a father of your child? Like, that's what you're sorry for? Because that's all you did. What you need to be apologizing for is for getting back together with Franklin after all he put you. Down the line, it's obvious they're going to get back together. That's the tone of the book. They're going to get back together. You need to be sorry for that. Taking us through this long 3-year journey in this book, and we learn nothing. I really hope this is a satire. If this is a satire, it's a successful satire. If it's meant to be read straight, then this book is very, very dated. And honestly, the standards of the relationship shouldn't have been no type of standards at all.
This was struggle love. Only person I wasn't mad at was Portia. Portia was the only one making sense in the book. But that's why I believe this book is satire. I refuse to believe that Terry gave us this book in 1989 and then turned around a year later and gave us Waiting to Exhale. I refuse to believe that we went from struggle love to Waiting to Exhale in a year. I believe she was telling her target audience that this is how y'all look in these relationships, and because I believe this book was a satire, I gave it a 4. If it was not a satire, if she really did intend for this to be a struggle love story about how true love prevails then this is a 2. And it only gets that 2 because the writing itself was good and because the story was competent. But because I believe this is satire, I gave it a 4. And to support my satire theory, Their Eyes Were Watching God is on a literal pedestal in this book. I believe she was kind of doing a modern day Their Eyes Were Watching God, because Their Eyes Were Watching God wasn't a satire, but it was an observation of what life was like at the time it was written for Black women and what relationships were like. Let's be real, Their Eyes Were Watching God is the epitome of struggle love. Granted, you got to put it in the context of the time period that it's written in, but it's still struggle love. And I believe that she did this as a satire to critique those type of relationships, but also to do a homage. Zora has all of this going for her. She has so much going for her, and she's actually putting in the work to get there, and she's basically financially supporting both of them. And what is Franklin doing? He's just terrible. When they broke up, I was so happy, and then when they was like, oh, well, you know, it might not be the end for them, I was like, no, please do not get back together. Y'all stay broken up. But I really believe that that was the point. If it's a satire, you're supposed to be frustrated by it, because it's like, why would you get back together with him? My further proof is that Claudette, who has her whole life together, married with kids and doing well for herself, is encouraging this struggle situation because, oh, true love prevails, even though Claudette herself is a hypocrite, because her man, when she was with him at his lowest moments when he was still broke, he was broke because he was in medical school. He was working towards a career that would do something for them. And so that's why she stuck through it. She could see the vision. She could see what they was working towards. She knew he was going to accomplish it, and that's why she was with him. So for her to encourage her to stay in that type of relationship. As opposed to Portia, who's everybody dumping on, they claim she's looking for a man and being a gold digger, but what she really doing is looking for somebody who can provide for her. Portia's not perfect because the man that she ended up with was a married man. But she was the one with the most sense when it came to what Zora should be looking for in a relationship, because Zora's relationships up to this point have all been trash, and she's always based them off looks and potential instead of looking at what they actually have to offer. That's why we ended up with this struggle love with Franklin. I believe this book is a satire. I believe Terry McMillan wrote this to tell her target audience this is how y'all look. Especially because Zora and Robin from Waiting to Exhale are the same. Both dealing with men that don't have nothing going for them, dealing with men that don't really respect them as they should. Both are side chicks because Franklin, even if he is separated from his wife, is still married. Robin was dealing with Russell, who she took from Carolyn, and then he went and married Carolyn, and she was still the proud side chick. They're essentially the same character. The only difference is Zora makes somewhat smarter decisions in the relationship, but Robin makes the ultimate smarter decision. But they both are the same because they both look at their relationships and be in denial about what it really is because they want it to work so badly. Robin is like that girl. It's like, we want you to get it together, and she eventually does. Zora, we like, why? And she's like, because I love him. And she stays, even though we all like, girl, leave. But yeah, that's why I gave it a 4, because I think this book is a satire, and I think she's telling her target audience, this is how y'all look.
Yeah, I just want to say this while I'm here. I find it very disrespectful when I was researching and I came across interviews, how disrespectful y'all were to Terry McMillan in them interviews. Of all of the chapters for y'all to have this lady read, to showcase the different voices and the different voice between Franklin and Zora, why would you choose the 2 chapters where the characters are at their worst and at their lowest? I also want to add, I gave this book a 4 under the impression that it was a satire. But after doing some research into the background, I'm kind of questioning whether it was a satire. Part of me wants to give it a 4 because part of me still believes it's a satire and it's a, this is how y'all look in these relationships. And honestly, after doing the research, that was her point. She wanted to get to the heart of why these relationships are like this. The messaging kind of came across as true love prevails and conquers all. And I'm like, if it's satire, it's 4. If it's meant to be taken at face value like that, it's a 2.
All right, I'm about to watch this movie. I don't even know what to expect. I'm just gonna watch it and see how this goes. Disappearing Acts was adapted into an HBO television film in 2000. It was written by Lisa Jones and directed by Gina Prince Bythewood. It stars Wesley Snipes as Franklin and Sanaa Lathan as Zora. Disappearing Acts was nominated for a 2001 NAACP Image Award for Outstanding Television Movie, Miniseries, or Dramatic Special. I'm 12 minutes in and I don't think I can do it. Like, it was already irritating enough reading Franklin, but the book came across to me as satire. This movie, though, not coming across as satire. I don't think I can do this with Franklin again. He's so irritating and annoying. I'm only 12 minutes in. This is a 2-hour movie. Pray for me. So I'm about 30 minutes in. They casted the perfect person to play Portia. I will say that.
I mean, that's nasty.
The movie is kind of like the book in where the movie itself is not bad, but the story, I guess it's because I've already read the book,
So I already know what Franklin is about, and I already know how he's gonna be. That's impacting my enjoyment of the movie. They tried to redeem him a little bit in the movie with some of his characteristics, but I'm like, nah, I need y'all to be true to his character. He thought he was a catch, and he was not.
You ain't nobody.
I ain't nobody.
I hope whoever provided this lady's singing voice get her credit, because we could tell that wasn't her singing. It's obvious that they dubbed the singing in. The thing is, the book hypes Zora's voice up to be like this amazing, like she sounded like Aretha, Shaka Khan, Gladys, Odetta. She could be the next big thing if Franklin didn't hold her back. I don't know, the movie, her voice is good, but it sounds generic. The book, Zora was described as being this powerhouse vocalist. In the movie, Zora, she's giving background singer. So I'm about an hour in, everybody getting on my nerves. Zora seems to have more common sense in the movie, which makes her even more nerve-wracking as to why she's staying with Franklin. And the fact that Reggie is no longer really a support system for Zora anymore kind of just saddens me. She basically his tag-along meal ticket just in case. The movie is good, but the story is irritating. Even though she's more irritating in the movie, I guess it's because of the way the portrayal is coming across. You kind of want her to win. Be like, get away from him. Like, you have so much going for yourself. So I just finished the movie. Like I said, the movie itself was good. The acting was good. The story was just annoying. I sat through the credits. I tried to sit through the credits, but I actually did this time to see if they was going to tell us whether Zora's singing voice was dubbed or not. And it was. You could tell that it was not her singing herself. The notes was not matching the movements of her body. I'm just saying. Overall, I finished the movie. Did I enjoy it? I enjoyed the acting. I enjoyed the cinematography. I enjoyed the music. But the story and the characters...
The movie itself was good. It was well done, well acted. The movie was well acted struggle love. Like, that's the best way I can describe it. I enjoyed the cinematography. I enjoyed the acting. I didn't really enjoy the story or the characters. The book came across as satirical to me. That's why I was able to give it such a high score. But after doing some research, I'm starting to wonder if it was meant to be satire or if it was really meant to just portray what relationships were looking like at the time. They had everybody in this movie, like the actors. Well directed, well scripted, well acted. But it was struggle love, so the story wasn't really all that enjoyable. I'm not gonna say they changed Franklin. I felt like I was more irritated with him because I knew how he was in the book. And so because I already knew the storyline of the book and I knew the arc of his character, I was already irritated with him watching the movie. But I don't know, had I watched the movie first before reading the book, I don't know if I would have been as irritated with Franklin. He's still not really doing his part. He's still being irksome and annoying. But you get the sense of the fact that Zora is struggling. But, you know, they try to make you sympathize with Franklin, too. I could sympathize with that man. I can't sympathize with that man who blames everybody for everything in his life except himself. Movie itself was good. Story was not enjoyable, but I stand by the fact that I don't think that story was meant to be enjoyable. This is the end of the video. I thank y'all for tuning in. I was about to say this is the end of the video. Thank y'all for tuning in. I pray y'all have a good day. Which I do. I do pray over y'all that y'all have a good day in the name of Jesus. But I also want y'all to like the video, comment, subscribe to the channel, check out more good content from me. I mean, if you need a prayer, let me know. As long as it's not nothing that go against the will of God. Thanks for tuning in and have a nice day.